give us the title again? Because I'm not even going to attempt to say it.
Taiko no Taijutsu, the Drum Master.
Drum Master. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Now say it 3 times fast.
So so thank you very much. So that's number 5 for Ian. Let's just swing around the screen as it is. Graham.
Yes.
Tell me your 5th pick for Game of the Year, please.
My 5th pick is Saints Row, the reboot. So, always a big fan of the Saints Row series, and they did a good job. It looks amazing on the series consoles, but it wasn't high enough in the list as it wasn't sort of your breathtaking kind of one. But as an alternative to GTA with the same sort of humor and so much to kind of do and the same sort of activities that made the Saints Row ones, like the accident one that you like, diving in front of cars, etc. They're all there, plus a few new other gimmicky ones and the same sort of interesting weapons that you can kind of have. And just a different but same feel storyline. But I enjoyed it and just haven't got around to completing it, which is probably why it's in my 5th place spot. But still a decent game, so it made my top 5.
Nice. And did you ever get to play it in co-op at all with anyone, or you still been just doing solo?
No, just solo. But I can see how it would be fun, sort of playing with multiplayer, the same way sort of any, or even how GTA is as well.
Yeah. Nice. So that was Saints Row, just called Saints Row, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes. But essentially, it was a rebooted version of Saints Row.
Yeah, nice. And do you prefer the style of the reboot, or do you prefer the old? Was it the third? No, what are they called?
The Saints Row 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, what was the gang called though? Because they're not the same gang.
Third Row Saints. Well, they are still called the Saints, but not the Third Row Saints, whatever they were.
Not like Johnny Gat and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so none of those ones are in it. Story-wise, they're kind of on the same. I think you can't beat the original for the story, because that was just it had a bit more of a grip to it, because you were just an upcoming gangster who just sort of joined a gang, which had a lot more undertones to it. Whereas this one, it's just very blasé and far-fetched. You're just 4 people that are just in kind of different factions as such, but you kind of all just separate and form your own one, and just as people being killed left, right, and they just don't seem to care too much. They're just very blasé. But story-wise, it's not as strong as the original, but it's not designed to be kind of strong. It's supposed to be a bit more tongue-in-cheek. I think they knew that going in, but it's all right.
Nice. Saints Row the reboot, and that's number 5 for Graham. I'll go next quickly if that's all right, Ross. Save the best for last and all that. So my number 5 pick. I'm looking through my list here. I've got fucking loads of games I've played this year, but it'd have to be No More Heroes 3.
Okay, interesting choice.
Wonderful game. It's a very sort of, I want to say niche, but I don't think that's quite the right word. But it's not for everybody. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It carries on from the second game, although it's been about 10 years since the second game released. And technically, it was released on the Switch last year, but the Xbox version only came out this year, so I'm going for it. And I just loved it from start to finish. It's crazy action. It's loads of little pop culture references like games and movies and music and stuff, and just the sort of inventiveness and like the boss battles and the powers that Travis Touchdown gets, as well as all the other characters and stuff that you interact with. I thought it was excellent. I enjoyed every moment from it, even the shit open world, which is still shit. It's always been shit in No More Heroes. There's not really a point to the open world. I just enjoy I enjoyed driving around that and collecting the little trinkets and doing some side missions stuff. But yeah, really, really good game, really fun. Doesn't take itself seriously at all, and you can get through it in about probably 8 or 9 hours, really.
Oh, so it's quite a short time.
Yeah, not even a massively long game. If you just go through the story missions, beating the assassins to get to number 1. Yeah, you get through it pretty quickly. But yeah, really good game. Really enjoyed it. So No More Heroes 3. Ross, tell me, what is your number 5 pick?
So number 5 for mine is a bit more of a recent game. And mine is Gotham Knights.
Nice.
So I've done a review on it. Obviously got quite a bit of a mixed bag at launch. A lot of people could see through the sort of locked at 30 frames. Not everybody was a big fan of the fact that they prioritised the multiplayer aspect of it. But like I said in my review for it, the multiplayer is brilliant. It's one of the better ways to play it. It's completely untethered, so you've got free life to do whatever you want. They've introduced a new mode that's almost like I don't want to say a horde mode, but basically you go through, kind of as a horde mode, but basically you go through like different levels and you go down further. The further you go down, the harder it gets. So they've introduced that. I can't remember what it's called, Heroic Descent or something. Something like Heroic Assault or something.
Is that? Can you play that in co-op as well?
Yeah, so that's co-op as well. I think everything that they plan to do on it is all going to be co-op. If I remember reading that right, that they're trying to make it as inclusive as possible. You don't have to do it in co-op. It's not like it's one of these things where it's impossible to do unless you play it in co-op. But no, really beautiful looking game. They make Gotham look really, really nice. They do a lot of sort of the effects with the sort of neon lights and fog in different areas. So the areas sort of split up into different sort of territories that are run by the different gangs that have been left since Batman died. So you've got like a lot more neon and sort of the south side of the map because it's a more I can't remember what they're called, but they're tech based. It's all to do with like Mr. Freeze and technology and stuff like that. Then you've got a more traditional sense of like old Gotham, where like you've got the Arkham Asylum side of it, and then two of the other places, which off the top of my head I can't remember. There's an industrial area where you've got like Ace Chemicals and that. Playing through the 4 characters is quite unique because you're not locked in once you select somebody. So if you want to do a night each is how they sort of do it, then you can go Red Hood one night, Nightwing, Batgirl, Robin, and just keep interchanging, or you can try and like progress through their stories, because as you progress through the game, they unlock certain things based on how long you play them. So progression moves across. So if you play the whole game with Red Hood up until the last 5 missions, you've still got all your experience points for the rest of your players. So you could then go and level them up to be at the level they need to be to finish the game. But things like I forgot what it's called, Knighthood, I'm sure, which is like how they transverse across the map, or certain unique abilities, that gets locked by how far you play as the character. Okay. So you don't have to stick as one person, but trying to do as much as possible as one character gets you better benefits. So nice. Number 5 for me would have been higher had it been, like you say, 60 frames, maybe a wee bit longer, and the voice work could maybe be a wee bit better. Would have probably made it top 3 for me. But it stands now top 5.
Because they've just added a 4-player mode as well, haven't they? 4-player co-op.
Yeah, it was 2-player, now I think it's full 4-player co-op now.
Yeah, still would like to give it a try at some point, but
it's definitely, if you've got like people to jump in with, it's definitely worth a go. I can see it being a Game Pass game at some point.
Yeah, it's the perfect Game Pass game, as we'll probably hear many times over the next hour or so as we chat more games. Of course, that was Gotham Knights. Ross is number 5. Ian, let's move up a rank. Number 4, please.
Me again? Start me
again. I know.
I don't know which one to go for. Okay, number 4 is going to be another. Okay, I'm going to do it. Number 4 for me is As Dusk Falls.
Oh, nicely choice. So what about As Dusk Falls was having you and ahhing whether to put it at number 4 or not?
Because it was basically is like, do I give it as an honorable mention or do I give it a place in the top 5? And I think it has to hit the top 5 because I think it's just a good, solid story, and it's my kind of genre where it's butterfly effect, different things, you can do different things, and different outcomes. Different things lead to different outcomes, and I think it's just a solid, good storyline. I mean, and it's got that kind of thing where, because it's like they call it book 1. So you feel like, oh my god, there might be a second one. There might actually be a sequel to this, and that kind of. Hopefully, they do bring a sequel out for it. But yeah, I mean, I can't fault the game at all. I can't fault it, but there's some faults. But for me, a solid story game that I liked.
Yeah, well, I mean, without spoiling too much, I think one of the endings, the ending I got, definitely left it open for sort of either another book, like you said, or a whole new sequel. I'm not sure.
I'm saying one. I don't know what you ended up, but one similar to me. One ending I had was like, hang on.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like kind of thing. So yeah, definite for me. It's a solid, brilliant. I guess would you call it visual novel? No, because visual novel is a pain.
Well, it's like a choose your own adventure type thing.
Choose your own adventure book. Yeah. So yeah, I think. I know Jay's played. Have you played it? Ross?
Yeah, I've played it. I'm not sure if the endings are all similar, involve the same sort of thing happening, but the rest of the story mine was quite different to what Jay was having as well. But I enjoyed it through. I struggled to get on with the stop motion kind of style graphics that kept happening. I eventually kind of tolerated it, but it was a bit jarring first. But yeah, I'm totally with you on the story and the different branches and threads. That's quite cool. I mean, you can always have completely different experiences, and as you can tell, we all have a kind of. I'm sure we made different choices all the way through.
Yeah. Well, speaking to you guys and the special guest Pete as well, like we've all seemed to have different flavors. And looking at that spread, at the end of the chapter where it gives you like the what's the right word? The tree.
It is tree. It's tree.
Of all the choices, like the amount of stuff that I didn't see, and the amount of stuff you guys have spoke about that I can't even figure out where it would come into. It's something I definitely would like to play again at some point. I can't
remember if I messaged you or messaged guest Pete. I always remember. I think we was talking about something. I just went to. I was either you or Pete. Went, "Fuck you, Michelle." And oh wait, talk about it's about Dust Falls, not Graham's Michelle. Just a caveat quickly. I was like, fuck out of nowhere. Like, fuck you, Michelle. I was like, oh wait a minute. The game, not this.
Yeah.
Because never mentioned as Dust Falls at all. It's messaged randomly. Fuck you, Michelle. But yeah.
Good thing he's got his headphones in. So that was Ian's number 4. I mean, slight spoiler, it might come up again later on, but we won't talk about it too long just then. Teasing. All right. Graham.
Foreshadowing.
Number 4, please.
Well, as you're saying, this is going to be the first cross involved because my 4 was Gotham Knights, as what Ross mentioned.
Nice.
So that was my number 4. I agree with a lot with what Ross is saying. Obviously, he had the chance to play it sort of co-op, whereas I didn't. So I'm sure that makes the experience a whole lot better.
If you can say playing with Dan makes any game better.
Well, you experience co-op to see how how it actually plays. Theory and actually putting it to use, not having a useful teammate is a bit different, I suppose. But yeah, I know what you mean. Sort of as you progress, things do make a bit more sense, and as you say, the traversing the map becomes a bit easier because you have different things to traverse the map other than sort of spider webbing your way through. The bloody thing takes a chore a long time. Eventually, you can unlock sort of fast travel areas, which saves a shed load of bloody time.
I think that was one of the biggest criticisms I had with it. Is like one of the good things about the Arkham series was obviously if you got like with your zipline, you could zipline up and then like double tap to sort of catapult yourself up in the air, and then you could glide.
Yeah, that's what I thought. A glide is what it was kind of needing.
Yeah, whereas with this, it's like you can still do the sort of like zoop up to the roof, but then once you get up to the roof, that's it.
You're just dropping.
You have to run and then jump.
You just jump across.
You just jump. You just zip line, and you have to keep attaching to things like zip lining forwards, almost like
constantly
spider webbing with Spider-Man.
Idea.
And then eventually you get a ridge, shitey, Razal goo jump thing, which is crap. Like you jump at phantom jumping, which doesn't really help at all.
Yeah, if you go the Red Hood, that's what you get, and then Nightwing gets a glider, Batgirl does get a glide cape, and then Robin gets teleportation.
So that bit is I haven't got as far as that bit yet, but yeah, traversing the map is the biggest kind of drawback for me because like you get to, as you've seen, you go through different days, and one of the days you might find a crime that's the other side of the map, and you have to think to yourself, can I be asked it all the way over that side of the map?
How much of a difference is it going to make if I leave that crime unsolved?
Yeah, and the second part is, you can tell I can make a motorbike appear out of thin air. That's quite good. That goes fast. No, it looks like it goes fast, but it's such a lie.
It gives you the visual blood at the side.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
I'm going
5 minutes across a bridge,
20 miles an hour, really fast.
I mean, the superheroes, they've got to obey the speed limits, you know.
Yeah, that was one of my pet peeves.
Yeah, exactly. Can't break the law.
But yeah, it was how to make it look like you're going fast when you're not. So that's my thing. Sort of, traversing the map was the slow part. But other than that, the combat's fun and tricky at the same time. You can't just mash. Some enemies are trickier and involve different methods, and all the different characters have different kind of ways of getting around it, and it's quite cool. And they've evolved sort of range attack, which I think is something sort of kind of like the Batman kind of games didn't have. like shooting from a distance and like even sort of holding basically holding the left trigger to aim and then firing, which seems quite odd for like a Batman kind of game, but it kind of works this way without being overpowered. So yeah, but it only made 4 because, like I said, I didn't go back through that one to complete it, so it didn't retain my interest. But I know that I will go back to try and finish that one off.
Did what was I say? Is it so? 2 questions actually. Do you unlock fast travel quite early, or is it quite long till you unlock it?
I would say it's got to be at least sort of 3-4 hours in before you get to the fast travel bits.
You're quite a wee bit in it, and then
you have to do things to get them. Yeah.
Oh, so it's not like given to you.
No, you have to go to the area to unlock
scan
it.
Drones. So and then you can't just scan them. You have to wait a certain time before you can scan them, and there's a bit of dicking around. But once you've got them for good, and that's kind of helpful.
And it's quite a long title, isn't it? You said to complete.
I'm trying to think how long I took to complete it.
Well, you did say it was as long as what we thought it was. I think you said it was maybe between 20 to 40. I thought you said
20 to 40 hours is a long title. Anything like plus 15.
Let me double check.
No,
yeah. Well, Ross would know because he completed it. I haven't actually got as far as completing it, but yeah, the different kind of crimes and stuff is quite a good fun title anyway. But that's my number 4.
Okay, cool. No, I just want to check those.
So,
it's something I've always been interested in playing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no. Yeah, like I said, I definitely would like to jump into 4-player with everybody at some point, and or even a 2-player with Graham, whatever. I don't mind. Just have a quick go because I'd like to try it because I used to like the old Arkham games, but
same.
Overall,
elements, I'm happy.
I put 33 hours into it, and that was doing pretty much every crime every night and trying to unlock all the suits that you could get with it as well. So storyline, I'd probably say 25 hours for running the story.
Okay.
There or thereabouts. Maybe a bit quicker, actually. But 25 would be a rough guess, I would say, to try and get from start to finish.
Nice. So, cool. That's something to get onto over the holidays, perhaps. So Gotham Knights Graham's number 4. I will go next again, and I'm going to go for Plague Tale Requiem. Fucking tremendous game once again.
I thought it would have been higher.
It would have been, but the next 3 I've got on my list, obviously, they're like top tiers. So Plague Tale Requiem. Obviously, I really enjoyed Plague Tale. Was it Innocence, the first one?
Yes.
Was Innocence one? Yeah. And since it's come a Game Pass day one, obviously, I've played it for review, and I thought it was fucking tremendous. That they improved like the stealth stuff that I didn't really get on with in the first games quite so much. They made Amicia and Hugo a bit more interesting. The story was really quite affecting. I mean, by the time I got to the end, and again, no spoilers, but I was like, oh, that took a bit of a turn I wasn't quite expecting that. And it got quite a bit hitting the feels a little bit, and yeah, the moment to moment gameplay was great. It looked fucking stunning, especially on the Series X on a nice decent TV. And yeah, I thought it was excellent. Much like No More Heroes, start to finish. Obviously, it's a hell of a lot more serious than No More Heroes. It was very, very depressing at times, very dour. And there was a couple of moments where it could possibly have maybe skipped a little bit, where they sort of backtracked on themselves a little bit. And like, well, we didn't really need to do that. You're just trying to pad the story out even more and try and make me feel even more fucking upset and depressed. But by and large, I really, really enjoyed it. And like I said, the improvements to the combat and the stealth and stuff were much needed, much appreciated. And again, no spoilers, but I believe they've set it up for a further entry down the line.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Yeah, again,
I'm not going to spoil it, but spoilers.
No spoilers. But yeah, again, no spoilers. But it'd be interesting to see where they take the series from here, going on from there. So yeah, Plague Tale Requiem is my number 4. Ross, tell me number 4.
My number 4 is Dying Light 2: Stay Human. So another game I played primarily as a co-op game. Think definitely the way to play that game. Jumping back into it single player is nowhere near as fun. It just, don't know, something about the comedy element that you get in sort of playing it co-op. The sort of working together, and especially like doing the nighttime stuff that comes along with Dying Light that is better doing it with a friend. Didn't hold up as well as I would have hoped in a single player, but overall, like story wise, really good. Graphically, brilliant. The traversal system, Dying Light first one as well, was always great at doing like the parkour elements, the sort of scaling buildings, just the world, having it as it was a massive map. Like it was a huge map to go one side to the other, especially considering most of it's on foot. Obviously, later on in the game, you unlock, like most games, an easier way to get around the map. But no, really enjoyed it. Enjoyed the sort of more human element of it. So obviously in the first one, the zombies were your main enemy, whereas in this one you've got a lot of different factions that are sort of popping up. There's a lot more human element. It's not showing you just necessarily you've got to survive against the sort of virus. You've also got to survive what's left of humanity. Very much Walking Dead type style. There's as much as zombies
humans are the real enemies all along.
Well, yeah, as much as the zombies are an ever-present threat, it's more on the humans that are actually the ones that you really concern yourself with more and how they're trying to run the world the way that they want to run it. So, really good game. It would have been higher had it not been such a weaker single-player title, but still...
I thought it wouldn't be high because of the constant love. Was it his sister?
His sister.
Mia.
Sister, yeah, man.
Have you seen my sister? Fuck off! You'll find her when you find her.
I'm looking for my sister, Mia.
But yeah, good game. If they're bringing out a third one, they need to
Find a
make it. Well, find a sister. So they need to make it a bit stronger in playing it by yourself.
Yeah.
Be the only thing I'll say about it.
Fair enough. So that was Dying Light 2 Stay Human, a game that you can play for supposedly between 20 and 500 hours, as they were very keen to point out prior to launch. And then went, no, we didn't mean it. We meant no. Nice. All right. So before we get to number 3, then I want to ask a quick random question for you guys.
I feel like this is going to be unanimous.
Yeah. What game are you looking forward to in 2023? Ross, let's go back to you.
I'm going to take the penalty kick because I know you guys will say the other one, but I'm going to go for. I was going to say StarCraft. I'm going to go for Starfield. I think it's been hyped up too much for it not to be the one that I'm looking forward to the most. It's the Bethesda style game right up my street in regards to like Fallout, Skyrim idea. I just from what they've sort of let loose in regards to how much you can do in it, how many different planets you can explore, how it looks. People are saying it looks shit. The gunplay looks quite nice as well. It's a bit of a change from sort of the Fallout gunplay. It looks a bit more type of sort of Destiny Division style shooting, which will be quite nice to bring into the world. I feel like Fallout's shooting's a little bit unrealistic. The VAT system's nice, but the actual way the guns work seems to be a wee bit crazy in the Fallout universe. So hopefully they've introduced a bit of a different system in that.
There's no VATs or anything in
they've not shown anything like it, no. So I don't think there'll be anything along the lines, because that's one of the big selling points of Fallout, or not big selling points, but one of the big features of Fallout. Yeah. So I would imagine if they had something like that in it, then they would have already highlighted or released something to show it. But no, for me, Starfield is the one that's ticking the box for me.
Did you see the story that I put one of the stories in our chat about apparently the quests can be played independently,
yes,
akin to Skyrim more than Fallout 4. So you're not locked out of one sort of quest.
Yeah,
line
you don't get locked
because
in.
You've chosen one option. So that I don't know why that interests me more than I expected, because I
means you're not losing anything.
Yeah, exactly. You're not like, well, if I commit to this side now, I'm gonna have to play 100 hours to go through to do the other side again later on. Whereas now you can just mix them.
It's like if you do the companion side quest in Skyrim, you become a werewolf, and then you get to be the option to go and do like vampirism later on in the game. So, but then you can get cured of your werewolfism to then become a vampire. So you've got a workaround. Yeah, which is much better than having to go, right, I've committed to being a werewolf, and if I want to do this again, and I need to go into a save before I become a werewolf, not do the werewolf to become a vampire. It's just, I like the Fallout system because it works in the world, because you have to sort of commit to a group to, they're the ones that are going to take over the wasteland or the Commonwealth or whatever it may be. Whereas I don't feel like it needs to be done in every type of Bethesda game that you're locked into one squad type idea.
Yeah.
I like to be in the head of the Thieves Guild and the Dark Brotherhood and Mages Guild and everything. So
You can do every one of them.
Yeah, I am the Lord.
You want to
and
be
Master.
friends with everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just want to see all the quests, but yeah. So that's Starfall Field Craft. Interest. Graham, what about yourself? Is there any particular game you're looking forward to next year?
Yeah, I mean, Starfield is always going to be the number one, but there is a few honorable mentions. I think the Wolf Among Us 2, I think, is making an appearance next year.
Yeah.
And
good choice.
There was another one that took my interest as well. I think it was that Wo Long. I didn't get a proper chance to sort of have a touch at that one, but I do want to have another look at that one. And I can't think of what it was. I'm trying to think of. No, it's completely slipped out of my head. But yeah,
What you think I can go?
Go on, then you go. Well, I'm trying to think
You
of what
think?
it was.
Well, the three correct answers in the number 3 is Assassin's Creed Mirage. That's going to be a solid choice. I mean, that's going to go hopefully back to basics with stealth, assassin kills, get in, get out, not be seen, kind of thing. And it's all focusing on that. And if they're going to fully focus on stealth elements and storytelling, they can make it a solid, brilliant game. Because that's what the good thing about was the previous Assassin's Creed. Was to go in, but do this kill, but don't get seen, get out. And that's how fun. Now, before you can just go in guns blazing, go wah, and you can get in and out easy enough. So no, for me, solid choice for number 3. Number 2 slot is Alan Wake 2. Going to be amazing. Beautiful game. I can't fucking wait for this one. Excuse the language. I think they're going, again, the only part of me is they're going down the cyber horror route, so I'm going to be a bit of a pansy. So I might need my big boy pants to wear playing it.
Wear the brown pants.
Yeah, bring the big boy pants on. But I think it's going to be a fucking fantastic title if they can get in there a little right. And I think Remedy always have good games of storytelling wise. So for me, it's going to be a solid, fun, scary title, I can imagine. I might need hand holding whilst I play it. But number 1 game, everyone should be saying this, and Jamie would agree. I'm sorry, Xbox fans. It's Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. It's gonna be Zelda.
That's number 1. That is number 1.
I know we're an Xbox cast, but I fucking loved Breath of the Wild, and if they can do anything enough like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom is gonna be, oh my god, amazing.
Yes. May 5th, I think, isn't it? Is it May 5th or May 9th? Something.
May 12th of May.
May 12th, sorry. So I've been holding off because, me and you, like behind the scenes chat, we were talking about OLED switches recently when we were getting some in there. I've been like, should I get one for it? But then I'm thinking, if they do announce a new Switch, then I'll wait for that. So I'm going to wait till nearer the time and sort of wait.
That's the thing. I was thinking between Pokemon or maybe one later down the line. Yeah. So I might go one day down the line and get one. And also, it's great because I go on holiday on like the 18th or something. So that's going to be my plane. That's going to be just me constantly playing that on the plane while I'm in the hotel room, chilling out.
Perfect game. That's it. Should be a perfect game for playing and holidays and stuff. Wonderful. Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom is the obvious choice. I'll bring it back to Xbox side of thing. I've got 2 games that jumped out to me. Resident Evil 4 remake, obviously. Very much looking forward to that. Can't wait. I suppose the Dead Space remake as well, because after playing Callisto Protocol recently, I mean, that's sort of got to be in the mood for that sort of survival horror type thing. But the main one really,
good practice for me if I want to play Alan Wake.
Exactly, yeah. The main one really, though, which I thought you were going to say, but you didn't. You went for the proper correct answer, which was Redfall.
That was what I was expecting.
Yeah, I didn't want to go down that route because I knew you were saying it for me instead.
Yes,
that's why I said Starfield, because I was like, I know Jay and Ian will probably say Redfall.
As we spoke about before, I mean, Arcane have not really missed at all. I need to get back to Deathloop and play some more, really. But the Dishonored games are fucking awesome. The Prey game got a lot of love. And having those sort of like powers and abilities and stuff that you can bend to your will, but in a co-op environment, I think it's going to provide some very interesting setups and very interesting gameplay possibilities, especially if we get a couple of crazy, excuse me, one person really trying hard and the rest just throwing shit left, right, and center, just using their powers to mess it all up for everyone. I don't know who that will be. I don't know. I'm not naming any names myself, but
I was gonna say, only you will do that.
Yeah, no, give me a Molotov and you'll fucked. But yeah, no, I'm very much looking forward to Redfall when it comes out. Supposedly before June, is it? It's supposed to be the first half of the year. I mean,
yes,
we'll see,
they did say June. June was penciled in, wasn't it? Q2,
yeah.
Q3.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, so that's sort of looking ahead to next year, gentlemen. Let's get back to the game of the year for this year, though, shall we? Let's go to Graham next. Graham, tell me your number 3 pick for game of the year for 2022.
My number 3 pick is something you actually steered me onto, and that was Vampire Survivors.
Oh wow! I didn't think of that high.
I was waiting for this to pop up.
Yeah, it's just one of those ones that's quite addictive once you get the hang of it, and there's a lot of subtle nuances. Considering you're just moving, you're not firing, not pressing any other button, you're just left analog stick moving your characters, but you got to move to a strategy and just it's clever in its simplicity and in its kind of roguelike fashion. You earn coins to sort of upgrade your kind of bits to have a better chance of surviving that bit longer.
Yeah, that's one thing I liked about it was, like you say, it's not just straight away good and you can go. You have to kind of earn your keep, a bit like Hades. You have to keep earning those more money, picking the right things to buy slowly, and then slowly getting that little bit better to kind of get that. There's that time up and up and up. It's not just a straight.
Always with the Hades comments, isn't it? Always with the Hades comments.
Hades came out last year, was it?
But yeah, it's awesome when you finally get one of the super weapons as well, because that's when the tables truly turn from you getting swarmed for you just whipping everyone's ass in sight. Yeah. So it's fun when you get to that point until you get to the 30-minute mark where you just get murdered by the end of the level thing that just kills you instantly. I think that's just part of the game anyway.
I was going to say, because it's like the time limit is set to 30 minutes for most of it. So once you hit that point, I mean, I've only managed about 28 minutes so far, so I haven't quite hit the full 30, but
I've done it on 3 different levels now. So it's
what happens. You just die then automatically.
Yeah, just like a Grim Reaper thing comes on stage and just smashes you, and then you die within like 2 seconds.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like you can fight. You can't fight it at all. You can't run away from it. It just kills you instantly. But that's the whole point. It does that, and then you unlock hyper mode, which allows you to move a bit quicker on that stage. So it helps you earn gold, so you can do the better upgrades to find the relics and things on the map. So yeah, it's good, and great sort of time killer, and it's one of those you really can sort of pick up and play in between games. It's not something that you have to commit to for ages. As you say, the time limit's 30 minutes, so it will never last longer than 30 minutes, so you can time yourself how much you're going to play this game. It can be
until you realize you've been sitting there playing it, giving it like 10 times in a go. Like.
Yeah, exactly. But great game and quite addictive, and I want to sort of try and get all the stages done at least, so I can say I've sort of completed that to its completion, not achievement style, but just complete all the levels.
Yeah, because I think if I was looking up like how to unlock the weapons and stuff, because there's loads of guides online, and there's an extra bonus level, isn't there? I think once you clear all the
I've got 4 or 5,
whatever. Yeah, it's like it's one of those old style games that just like, well, you've done this. Here, have a little something extra. Well, you've done that. Now, a little something extra again. Oh, you weren't expecting this. Have another. Oh, fucking hell. It just keeps going and going. Yeah, really good game. Really good fun. And so simple, like you said, but so much fun.
Because there's some things are tied to each other. So you have to play with it as a certain character, do something with that to unlock part of one of the add-ons, which allow you to get a combo thing for another weapon. So some of the weapons, you can't get the super version until you've hit certain challenges. So it's progressive as well in that way, not just level wise. You have to hit certain challenges.
Nice. Yeah, so it's the game that keeps on giving, and hopefully it will continue to give, because what a fucking brilliant experience. The mobile version just come out as well, isn't it?
That I haven't seen.
At the Game Awards, but I think that's obviously filled with microtransactions, and I think someone said you can watch an advert to get a revive and stuff like that.
Yeah. So well, I can see why they did it, but still,
we'll just stick to the Game Pass version, and it's only a couple of quid, I think, on Steam as well if you wanted to buy it to keep it. I think, but anyway, so Vampire Survivors number 3 for Graham.
That is.
Ross, let's go to you next. Number 3, please.
number 3 for me is Escape Academy.
Oh, nice.
So one of our Game Pass games. Had the wonderful experience of playing through it with Dan to begin with. That was.
Is that why it was? Is that why it's not number 1? Because I had to play with Dan.
Oh yeah. I'm surprised that you've made my top 5 having played it with Dan. No, brilliant wee game. Love escape rooms. So right on my street in regards to that. Like the art style of it. Doesn't take itself too seriously. I like it's very basic in what it is. It is just a puzzle solving game. There's no fancy stuff about it, but it does everything it needs to do as a puzzle game really well. I think everybody that played it really enjoyed it. And Ian, you missed this one, didn't you?
I unfortunately did, yes.
Yeah, and I know Jane Gray had a great time on it, and I think Dan said he enjoyed it as well. He said he would prefer to play it as a single player. But I think the co-op aspect of it is fantastic.
What? No way.
The co-op was the whole reason I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and it's just.
I mean, I did try one level on my own. I was like, this is not fun.
Yeah, and it's the same like doing an escape room in real life. You could do an escape room by yourself, but it would be pretty boring. Whereas if you go with like a group of friends or that, it makes it so much more enjoyable. And that's what I found about it. Really great co-op game. Really enjoyed it. Thought it was one of our best Game Pass games of this year. Hope that I don't know what they could do, but I hope there's like a new Escape Academy comes out, maybe just bigger levels, maybe more multiple stage levels. So the one that you've seen on stream with the sort of releasing the guy from prison, how obviously that had like 3 different maps attached to that one part of the story.
Yeah.
Maybe if they had a few more maps that were more that sort of scale, whereas you have to get out this room to get to the next room to get to the next part that then eventually completes that escape room. But yeah, no, brilliant wee game, loads of laughs. Definitely one that I could see myself if they introduce like new levels, constantly jumping back in and playing.
Oh yeah, 100%. I would love to play some more, either DLC or a sequel or something like you said. I think we're gonna have some honorable mentions later on, but one of mine, I should say, will be very similar to that. We shall get to that later on. Ian.
Hello.
Tell me, number 3.
Number 3 is the first non-Xbox game.
Bum. Kick him off.
Pokemon Arceus.
Oh, this is one I want to listen more to because it's one of the few Pokemon games I've ever missed.
It's reason why it's not near number 1 or 2, even though I'm a huge Pokemon fan, is because it turned up towards the end being more of a hoarding simulator than anything.
Isn't that what Pokemon is, though?
Well, yeah, but to extend, yeah. But I think it's more, if you want to get better, you have to keep after you catch like 50 Starlies, you're a bit like, come on, or 50 Bidoof. After a while, it's fun. Storyline is absolutely brilliant. They've nailed that completely. They could have done a few more battling, but I think the more mechanics was on the kind of catching elements. So for me, that was one of the things what I really enjoyed about it as well. Towards the end, yeah, you are very much hoarding Pokemon, but I think it allowed that because obviously the way it was meant to be meant for was that kind of thing where they didn't want you to just pure on battling. It was more just, starting at the beginning, learning how a Pokedex may come about, and obviously not realizing you can defeat Pokemon tours and then catch a Pokemon. Obviously, because of Pokeballs, there's not many Pokeballs out there as well because it's set in the past. So yeah, I think it was just all in all like a nice different style to Pokemon than that you're used to. There wasn't really any like online play or anything like that, or anything like IV training or EV training, which is making your Pokemon a little bit better than they should be. It's a whole new ball game and different concept. But yeah, it was just a solid, fun title, and I had no real complaints. I played it as soon as I started it. I couldn't put it down. New forms of Pokemon were fun. Exactly, and that's it. When you're thinking about it and you want to kind of go back and do different new forms, catch them all, actually complete the Pokedex. It's one of the very few games I actually have completed the full Pokedex of, from start to finish. So, and it's good because obviously it's only the one version and it's all single player, it's all on you. So there's nothing about, trying to trade with other people, or like, maybe like level up, quite easy to level up, so it's quite nice to kind of have that kind of flexibility of just having fun and catching Pokemon and just doing what you do best.
Nice.
Cool.
Which one? That's Pokemon Arceus.
Pokemon Legends Arceus. That was
Pokemon
number
Legends
3.
Arceus, yes.
Yes. I think, yeah, just solid, fun title. And I'm hoping to make a new one because it was quite well received and they exceed the expectations of what they thought it was. So they know the market's out there for something like this and they know it will work. So I think with them testing the water or something in the past, who knows? And especially with the latest Pokemon of testing the past and the future, who knows what they do? Maybe they might do something that's set in the future or again in the past in a different region. So you can see where they could go both with it. And I think that's something they can explore massively if they can do something like, shooting into the future, have all these different future forms of Pokemon and stuff. And that could just make something really a bit more quirky and crazy, I can imagine.
Nice. Nicely choiced. Cool. So I'll go next then if that's all right.
Go for it.
Nice. Number 3 for me is repeat customer number 2, As Dusk Falls.
Yes, good. Third place.
It's one of the few 10s I gave this year. And I, as Ian said earlier on, and as we sort of got into, I fucking loved it. The branching narrative, the options before you, and just the story was just brilliant. I enjoyed it, every second of it. And I really liked the way that, as you said, the 4 of us or 3 or 4 of us that we talked about it, we've got different sort of paths and outcomes, and characters alive and characters dead and characters friends and not, etc. And the options there to go back and play it and see something completely differently is just immense. And I look forward to doing so at some point in the near future. I opposite to Graham though, I really enjoyed the art style. I wasn't sure about it in trailers, but once I actually got playing it, I thought it looked fucking brilliant. It was very unique.
I think that kind of because because for me, like in your head, you're painting a picture more than rather just watching it.
Yeah, in
your head, you're like, oh, this looks really good. Yes.
Yeah, and having the sort of real life actors almost like painted on. It was unlike anything I've ever seen, I think. So I really enjoyed the art style, and as I said, the story was good. The choices were often difficult and interesting, and I look forward to seeing more at some point in the future.
I so hope they do more. They have to.
Yeah, like I said, either a DLC chapter or just a whole second sequel, second game would be.
Give us a second one, and hopefully they'd like stealth drop it again. That's one of the things I never heard anything about it. Then now it's on E3 months time. I was like, oh, hello.
Yeah. And fun fact for you, Ian, I don't know if you realise this or not. I didn't realise till after that I'd finished it. I forget his name. Dad, Vincent.
Mm-hmm.
His voice actor was the same guy as the guy from Deus Ex, old Adam Jensen.
Is it?
I never asked for this. Yeah, not the body actor is different, but the voice actor was. I thought I recognised his voice. Okay. I was like, he sounds familiar. Yeah, and I didn't realise till I finished this.
I
never asked for this. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Great game, and definitely, if it wasn't for these other 2 games, it probably would have been number 1. But as the way the list goes, there's 2 games I preferred more. Ross, I believe you're the only one who hasn't given us number 3.
No, I gave number 3.
Oh, sorry, who hasn't given number 3 then?
We all have.
No, your last one.
Oh,
so you go number 2.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry, oh man, I'm well out of it.
Go back to back. Go number 2.
All right, let's go for number 2 then. Well, the second 10 I gave this year, the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe Edition.
I really thought this would be number 1.
Oh, I mean, again, it was close. It was close between the top 3, definitely. Obviously, I've spoken many times in the podcast last year about how much I enjoy Stanley Parable. It's just so clever. It's so, again, unique. Like As Dusk Falls, I was just saying, like you've got so many choices. There's so many choices you can do, but they all tie in and lead to another one that you don't expect. And then just as you think, right, I've got this sus now, it sort of sweeps a rug from underneath you. Like, wow, how about you take this item with you instead and change everything around? Okay. And it's just obviously, if you've not played it, you play a Stanley, you go for a loop of the story, and then once you get to the end, you start again. And then when you do the second loop, depending on what you've done in the first one, things will change. So the narrator will sort of reference things you've done in the past, and then you just loop and loop and loop. But things get weird, things get different, and because this in the Ultra Deluxe Edition, they've added in so much more stuff to it over the original one, which came out like 10 years ago. there's so much to see, and I forget where I got to, but I saw so much things, and then I got to one point, and I was like, they can't possibly. This must be the end now. And then all of a sudden, it was like, well, how about you just do the entire thing again, but like this? It's like, oh, what the hell? And it's so clever, and it's so funny, and it's so again, like you were saying with one of the early games, all you're doing is walking. You're not really. There's no action. You're not shooting or diving or interacting with much. You're literally just walking through and experiencing the story, but it's so cleverly made and so well done, and it's one of those games that I would recommend anyone play, even if you're not a big gamer. Just all you got to do is walk forward and just follow the story or the adventure line or whatever you like. And yeah, wonderful game, and yeah, highly recommended for everybody. I believe everybody here played it as well.
Yes,
I think we all dabbled.
Yeah, so yeah, highly recommended. Graham, let's go back to you. Number 2, please.
Yeah, my number 2, just to annoy the hell out of you, Jay. It's going to be FIFA 23.
Wonderful, excellent. Right, Ross, number 2.
Yeah, I can't not add it, for it's clearly the game I've injected the most time in this year. And if all the socials are to go about, it's just constantly talked about. I suppose it helps having a World Cup this year as well. But as a fan of the Ultimate Team, as I have done through the years, I mean, it's different again, subtly for obviously non-FIFA gamers. It's just the same thing, cut and pasted. But if you do play it a lot, you know it's not. And yeah, there's just different changes. It's just kind of fluid, and it's going to be the last to be known as FIFA attached to EA anyway before it changes. And
EA Sports Football.
Yeah, it's going to be different but the same, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still come back to it. Almost have a game at least every day or every other day. I can't not have a game of it. And it's just good fun. One to pick up and play and just test where you are. Sometimes you have good days, sometimes you have bad days. It's like, yeah, a drug at times, I suppose.
I must admit, yeah, it was. I was surprising how much fun I had when I played it with you.
Yeah, that brought me to tears after it, watching the unfortunate leg break that one of our players suffered.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, surprisingly fun. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't play it loads, but I can imagine like every now and again. I wouldn't play against humans unless like for friends like this in like a same room.
Yeah, it can take you to one end of joy or the other end of complete frustration and fury. But if it invokes that much kind of emotion, then it's got to be something you're attached to keep coming back for more.
And are you getting on all right in your Ultimate Team this year?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with my squad at the moment. I haven't got anyone super kind of elite, but my team's formidable enough to sort of at least give a good account of myself. And so, yeah, I'm doing all right. So, yeah, the ones I'm involved in, I kind of win more than I lose. And that's, if you can get into that kind of level, you're doing all right.
Yeah, that's the aim. And yeah, nice. So FIFA 23, the final FIFA. Yeah, until more fucking FIFA.
Exactly.
More shit.
Yes. Ross.
So I am also going to dive over to the dark side. And number 2 for me is God of War Ragnarok.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So
I mean, it's getting a lot of hype in the Game Awards. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean,
wait. Are you going to last as long as Christopher Judge's speech?
Yeah. In fairness, it's not a bad voice to listen to be fair.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I mean, it's maybe an insult saying it's copy and pasted for the 2018 game, but it is very similar. There's no getting away from it. Plays exactly the same, looks exactly the same. Storyline on it's fantastic. The different realms that you go to now that they've opened up, that you can go to every realm. Some of the places there. I think in the first one you're sort of limited to Midgard, Helheim, Muspelheim, and Hoffenheim. I think that's only one. I think that's the and Alfheim. Whereas you've now got everyone there, so you've got try to think. You've got the land of the dwarfs, the land of the Vanir, which is like the opposite of the gods, or not opposite, but sort of same idea as the gods. And those two places look amazing. They've done a fantastic job at building out the world, adding in different sort of raid boss type ideas. So obviously you had the Valkyries in the first one. You've got a similar type enemy in this. The storyline that they go through, the sort of trying not to spoil it for people who may be listening. How they take the story away one direction, and maybe not what you quite expect. Playing it as Atreus, which is quite a nice wee touch to it as well. He's a bit different to sort of just diving in with Kratos as well, but it's too much like the first one to be held in the same regard as the first one, if you ask me.
I think that was always going to be the problem, though, when it that first
Yeah,
one
as
kinda
much-
caught everyone by surprise.
As much as they've expanded on it by, like I say, opening up all the realms that you can go to, it doesn't add enough in it to be better than the original. But still a fantastic game that I may or may not have kind of made Ian proud because I platinumed it. So technically
Well
1000 G'd it. But no, brilliant game. Really enjoyed it. And it's only defeated by one that's already been mentioned on the show.
Oh, so get your speculation in now.
Taika
Yeah,
no Taijutsu Gunma.
it's definitely something I'd like to get to next year at some point. I think once I've got a bit of time. But yeah, nice. God of War Ragnarok on that PlayStation. Ian, we haven't done number 2 from you, I don't believe.
We have not. My number 2 is, check notes, I'm going to go for The Quarry.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
I think, again, I'm basing mine on what did I have the most fun with and what's the one that I always thought about and wanted to play more and actually did a multiple playthrough of. And Quarry would be one of those games. Purely because, like I say, it's why it beats As Dust Falls. It's because I did multiple playthroughs of it. And it's just, because it's supermassive games, they just nailed it. And it was a solid, strong title. I haven't had a chance to play Devil in Me yet, which is kind of gutting somewhat. I thought that might be quite high in this podcast, so bit of shame. But I think The Quarry was solidly fun. I mean, again, it's one of those classic choose your own adventures from Supermassive. They nailed the characters, and I think what I liked about it more this time is because with like the original The Dark Pictures, it's only like really 5 characters. Here you're pretty much playing like 7, I think it was 7 or 9. It's ridiculous, like
there's a lot of characters.
Playable character, and there's a lot of intertwining stories. I feel like there was a lot of change, and what I found liked about it was there were subtle things you can do that literally would change the whole outcome of the game. And if you, like I said, the one thing I noticed, like, oh my god, I did that one little thing. Because of that one little thing, a whole new branching story happened for me, and I kind of like that kind of thing for me. It was different and fun, and solid choice for me. I think it's good story driven. Again, it's one of those ones as well because it's separate to the Dark Pictures as well. It's like this old entity of world, and I think they nailed the story. And I think it's one I didn't see it coming. That's one thing. When some of them just obvious, oh, that's obvious, that's going to happen, that's going to happen. A few things I just didn't see happening. I was like, oh, well, that was surprising.
Yeah,
that's what I like.
I did try to play a little bit, but I was trying to borrow Special Guest Pete's account, so I didn't really have time to properly get into it. But again, another one of them I'm hoping to get to over the holiday and get through. But it's about 10 hours, is that right?
Yeah, so long. It's like, I wouldn't say 10 hours, more, close 7, 8 hours. Yeah, if you take your time with it, let's talk to people, explore. Yeah, you're looking at a 7, 8 title.
Yeah, fair enough. So that was
The
Quarry, number 2.
Yeah, and obviously with multiple playthroughs, you will take a lot longer.
Stretching out. See, the one thing that I enjoyed, I think I said before about like the first Man of Medan and Little Hope in it, was they were really short, so you could get through them a couple of times, like in over a couple of days. But having it something like 7, 8 hours, that's going to take at least like 3 or 4 days to get through in one go, and then I've got to do it again. That's a long time to.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, though. I think because I find, especially like Man of Medan, I found Man of Medan too short, and that's what upset me more. Even though it was a solid, good title, it needs to be like maybe another hour or 2 longer, maybe a bit more branching story. But I guess what they did with the first one was painting the picture, testing the waters.
Yeah.
If you've done Devil in Me, how long is?
It's all set on the water, isn't it?
Oh, sorry, it's got. How long is Devil in Me? You've done that.
Probably about 6 hours. Yeah.
So, yeah, see, I think that's for a storytelling-driven game. Between 6 to 8 hours is perfect.
Yeah,
That's at least that's a couple of nights. That's a couple of nights. You can go to bed on like a maybe not a cliffhanger, but like a moment.
Yeah,
and
get one of
think
them
about
moments.
it all night and have dreams about it, and then wake up and play again.
That's
how it works. Those games for me.
That's what we want. Dreaming about the games. Nice. So Quarry number 2 for Ian. I must admit that's probably the biggest surprise I think so far. That it would be quite so high up as that. But that's good. Especially because Pete reviewed Death for Us. He was quite high on it as well, so that's good. Right, so we've all done number 2, right? Sorry, I'm completely lost track of where we are.
Yes, honorable mentions time.
Let's do some honorable mentions, and I got one more question for you before we get into the big daddy one. So, honorable mentions. Let's go with Ross first. Have you got a couple of titles you considered, but you sort of just about didn't quite make the list?
No, I don't. I have two games that would have been categorically in my top 5, but before rules and regulations, I wasn't able to put them in. So, first one is The Witcher, the complete edition with all the new DLC stuff that they've brought in, the upswaps. I think I've already put 30 hours or something into it since it launched, which is disgusting, seeing as only, But yeah, brilliant game, absolutely stunning. I've got a whole list of things that I've got for the website to go out about it.
Which came out in 2015.
Yes, exactly. It's everything that they've done to it. It's already the one of, if not the best game of all time, and they've just improved on it. The ray tracing mode is beautiful. The solid 60 frames it almost makes it feel like a completely different game. So fell in love with that completely. And the other one, which I know I said I was excited for, I didn't realize it would be as good as it is High on Life, which is fucking hysterical.
Let's talk. I've started playing this as well.
I'm so gutted I didn't get it finished in time for this. I know, what was it, Halo last year, I crammed to try and get into the game a year show, and I've just not had the chance to finish High on Life because of fucking Witcher coming out at the same time. But this game is, it's fantastic.
One thing I did like High on Life was, again, it's no spoilers, but at the beginning, you start and you get your gun and it starts talking and you say, just shoot. And I paused it, went off to do something, came back, goes, what the fuck are you doing pausing the game for?
It's brilliant. Like the clip that I put up in like the chat with the kid, which everybody's now putting up as well, just for the fact that like the name of the achievement as well that you get it. So Fallout doesn't let you do this.
Yeah.
It's just if you like Rick and Morty, you're going to love the comedy in it. And I've seen a lot of people sort of slate the comedy in it because they've admitted they're not fans of Rick and Morty. And if you don't like Rick and Morty, you'll hate this game because it is very much exactly the same.
Not slapstick, but like just a bit of
it's the breaking the fourth wall type idea, like constantly referring back to the player. It's like stupid things, like, so it's not really a spoil for it, but one of the bosses, you get to an area and it's like you survive the first wee part of it because you're trying to do training to join the G3, which is the baddies that are in the game. The G4? G3, can't remember. And basically it tells like you have to wait an hour. No, you don't.
I've seen the clip of that.
You don't have to wait an hour. You can go off to a side room and escape around the back. But if you wait an hour, the guy comes back and goes, shit, you're still here. What to do is this is what we'll do. And he goes to try and like raise the screen and it doesn't work. He says, what we'll do is we'll get somebody to fix it. So just wait a week and we'll come back. And then like the screen goes quiet and you're like, shit, I need to wait a week to actually like make the game progress. But it references itself so well, like jumping back to like getting the player involved, and obviously it doesn't talk to you constantly. But I wish I'd completed this because it would have been a shoo-in for number one.
Like you said, there's been a lot of scuttlebutt online of people being like, "Oh, it's not funny. It is funny. It's shit. It's not good. It's good."
That's what I'm saying. It's the type of humor. If you like Justin Roiland and that type of humor and the Rick and Morty style of things, you'll piss yourself every 5-10 minutes. And people say like the guns are repetitive. The guns aren't repetitive. Like you can turn down how often they talk. You get different guns, so you're not constantly listening to the same gun over and over and over again. The guns even reference themselves. So if you start off with a pistol and you can unlock a shotgun, so obviously most people will play a shotgun over a pistol. So you start playing as the shotgun, but then see you run out of ammo in the shotgun and you change back to the pistol. The pistol will then turn around and say, "Oh, so you haven't forgotten about me then, have you?" And it's little things like that it's just you get caught off guard by it. And you can just be playing, enjoying yourself, and then you hear a subtle comment like this, and it's a case of pause, piss yourself laugh, and then focus on back to what you were doing.
Nice.
Yeah, it's definitely. I'm definitely enjoying it as well.
Yeah, it's one of them ones I would like to get to. But what annoys me about the Rick and Morty style is the constant the constant stuttering and repetition.
You get the repetition bit. Like, so if you think of the characters of Rick and Morty, Rick's obviously the one that you're talking about. There's a lot of the burp, then saying what he's trying to say, and Morty sort of repeats himself. There's not as much as the Rick humor in it. It's very much more Morty. So you don't get the sort of long drawn out. You do get like, oh my god, you just killed that guy. Holy crap, I can't believe you killed that guy. Oh my god, why are you walking around just killing guys? That type of stuff, but not the lead stuff like Rick does in the TV show.
Yeah, I did quite enjoy Trover Saves the Universe, and there was a lot of that in there. So maybe I'll enjoy this. And again, I definitely want to give it a go at some point. But yeah, so what was that? So Witcher 3 Super Upspuff Ultra Deluxe
Complete edition
and High on Life. Nice, good honourable mentions there, sir. Graham, any honourable mentions from yourself?
Well, my honourable mentions are games that have been included in the others list. The only one I've probably left off is Evil West.
Oh yeah.
That flattered to deceive a little bit because the game graphically looks kind of amazing. It's just amazing. It's just super linear, and it kind of just feels like going through the motions at times, which is a little bit of a shame. I think it was one of those that would be massively more enjoyable in co-op, but you can only co-op with a friend. You can't co-op with a stranger. Yeah. So there seems to be a pattern in games recently that you can't co-op with strangers anymore. I don't know why they've taken this feature away from
strangers. Are weird and scary.
At least have the option. But that game looks good, and if that's your kind of thing, sort of vampires in the Wild West, and a bit Van Helsing style, then that was all right. But it just if it's too linear to make my top 5 anyway.
Fair enough. Ian, any honourable mentions from yourself?
For me, I have a couple, but I won't bore everyone. The main one I want to focus on is Call of Duty Warzone 2. So this is the actual Warzone, the second person one. I think they've just improved it more, but I think they've proved it in a better way because I find with Warzone, the first one, the fun thing about it was when you killed someone, you heard the death cam, what happened, what they're doing. Oh, I think he's there. With now they've got proximity chat, it makes it a whole new level of banter. And because I think they focus on when you're matchmaking with people in your region and stuff because of the time zones and stuff. And there's a lot more banter. And I think because most people just love a banter. So even when you get into gunfights with someone, if they've got their mic on, you're like, oh, I'll come in for you. And like, oh, no, don't do this. Oh, I haven't got a gun yet. Please, let's do knives only. Or just back and forth and chat with them. I think they've improved that so much now. I think it's a lot more fun, a bit more enjoyable, especially with friends. Like it has to be played with friends. You can't play with just on random teams. Like I've done it once or twice with just randoms, and one guy just wasn't even talking. Another guy was just talking too much. So it's just like, you need that level of where you're playing with friends. And for me, I think it has to be mentioned because they've improved it so much more than you wouldn't have thought they would improve it as a battle royale. Because again, you're never going to beat the likes of Fortnite and stuff. But Call of Duty for their battle royale, they've definitely nailed it, and they definitely know what they're doing.
Nice.
And I wouldn't be surprised if you see proximity chat hit other games, like especially Fortnite. I can imagine Fortnite stealing that concept any day now because they always steal every fucking concept under the sun if something in the battle royale does good.
They do, and then they make it look lovely with Unreal Engine 5. Oh, what a fucking update! What
Yeah,
an
and then they
update.
mention, oh yeah, we did this. Yeah, we had this idea. Yeah, we had this. And it's like, nope, you didn't.
Borrowed it from everything else. Nice. So Call of Duty Warzone, is it called Warzone 2.0, right?
Yeah, 2.0.
Yeah.
Another one I want to mention, which I played a very, very long time ago, but I did want to mention it because I wouldn't call it, it's probably more like a 7th, 8th position, but I want to mention it because it was quite fun. And it's called Young Souls.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I think Young Souls, again, it's like a side-scrolling hack and slash, would you call it? Yeah, side-scrolling hack and slash. And when I played, I thought, at first, I'm not sure about this, but my God, it's actually a really good, fun game. Really solid, fun title. Again, you can play it in co-op or you can play it on your own. And
is that the one with the twins?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one I reviewed.
I think you reviewed it, Gray.
Yes,
I did.
Yeah.
I
that one, the one you played. Yeah, I think you recommended it to me, actually. I think you recommended it to me. Yeah, really good fun. Really enjoyed it. I was surprised how much I enjoyed it. So another one I wanted to mention was that because thoroughly fun side-scrolling title.
Nice.
Did you usually complete it as well, Michelle? Didn't you?
No, we didn't quite complete it. But, yeah, well, it adds to the list of things I need to go back and finish.
Yeah. No, yeah, for me, definitely good fun. Just a nice, solid couch co-op, or it's just fun time. Yeah, and like you said, you mentioned to me, and really enjoyed it.
Nice.
Good.
I think everyone's gone, so my turn now, isn't it? For me, I've got a couple that I want to shout out quickly. Life is Strange True Colors. I don't think it come out this year, did it? But it come to Game Pass this year.
No,
and I really enjoyed it. I only played
I see your
in
true
May. Fucking brilliant game. We were here forever. Great. We had a great time playing that on PC.
Good.
Fucking, I loved it. As I said earlier, like Escape Academy. Like I look forward to them bringing another version out at some point because it's just entertaining. Like because you have to play it in co-op. The puzzles are bigger and crazier than ever, and it's just it could be frustrating for both people, but at the same time, it's very satisfying to figure it out and work together to solve the puzzles.
Which one was this one? That was the next one.
We Were Here Forever, which is coming to Xbox. I think in January they said to me.
Yeah, Jan next year comes out. 31st.
Yeah, so looking forward to it coming to Xbox at last. But they've all been great. But yeah, the Forever here was Forever was really good. And then the final quick one on shout out is Martha is Dead. Did anybody else play that?
No.
It's kind of like it's almost like a mix between horror and something almost like a walking simulator type thing. So you can't really fail, but it's sort of like set in like wartime at Italy, I think. And it's a young girl who loses her sister, and then she sees all kind of crazy shit, and it's very violent, it's very graphic, but it's very interesting, like the story they tell. And it gets a bit creepy at times, but yeah, really good game. Really enjoyed that experience. So they're the main ones. Before we get into Game of the Year, I know we've just done a slight tangent. We're going to go on to one more tangent, everybody. I hope you're ready for this.
Tangent away.
We've spoken about games that we sort of honorable mentions, but are there any games that you had on your list, or you downloaded, or you bought that you didn't actually get to that you'd like to play in the near, perhaps over the Christmas break?
I'll start.
Ian, no, go on then. Ian, sorry if you want to start.
I start because I know spot on ready what mine's going to be, and I literally only bought it this weekend, and that is Elden Ring.
Always going for the Souls-like.
Yeah, I've decided finally let's just get this out of the way. Let's see what the hype's about. Literally bought it. I made my character. Died once already. It's going to be fun.
Seen that it was on offer. Picked it up myself. Exactly the same boat as Ian. I was like, it's on sale. I'm buying it. I'll see just how much I suck at playing it.
Yeah, I think the first time I died, you had to die. So I was like, at least that's something. But still, this is going to be fun. So I think it has to be Elden Ring. I think that's calling it straight as it is. You got Game of the Year for a reason. Let's see what the hype's about. I know Jake from our Jake is happy that I finally picked it up. I'll give you tips and stuff. Like, let me just try first, see how bad I do. I'm pretty sure I will come to you for tips, but Let's just try first.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a hard old time for you, but I believe in you. You can do it. You can do it, Ian. And
come back after holidays. I'll be like shivering in a corner. I was like, I can't do this.
Why did I start? Well, I'm going to slightly keep on that tangent. I really wanted to get to the last hero of Nostalgia, which is another Souls-like, but with a bit of a comedy element, like Stanley Parable.
Oh yes,
and
that's what we played.
Yeah, we played it at WASD, and I really enjoyed it. And I got as far as downloading it, and I think I got to the title screen, and then I never actually got any further. So I really want to try and play that this holiday. And I also want to try and finish off Last of Us Part 1 and Deathloop as well. So that's going to be my Christmas period, hopefully playing them games.
Yeah, I agree with you on Deathloop side of things. That's going to be that was my second game I was going to mention. Is Deathloop. So that will be the two I really want to kind of focus on in the holidays.
Focus while we're off the reviews for a few weeks. Graham, anything you wanted to get to over the Christmas period?
Well, you said one, and that was Deathloop. That one I did download with an intention of playing, and I played like about half an hour of it. Seemed interesting enough. I just didn't get the time to sort of really tuck into it.
Yeah.
And the other one is, as what Ross was raving about, High on Life. I've got that installed, ready to roll, and it just looks like it's going to be great fun. So I can't wait to get into that one. But that's one I've wanted to, just haven't had the time to get into that one yet.
No.
Nice.
Oh yeah, one more I didn't mention, I completely forgot about, which is Devil in Me. Of course, that's definitely going to be one I need to kind of. So many games, so little time. But
I know that's the problem. I've got a list about fucking a mile long. I bought Return 2. I bought 5 Dates. I bought another couple of games. I was like, well, I'm never going to get to them. I need to play them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would like to. Ross, what about yourself? Anything you're going to get to over the holiday period you haven't got to so much yet?
Finish off Pokemon. That'll probably be about it. I've got Violet to probably start actually to get through it. So I think I've like caught 5 Pokemon or something. So start Pokemon Violet's probably a more accurate one, and probably a Devil in Me as well. I've done the rest of this series. I just need to get that one completed as well.
Nice. So we've got plenty of games to be talking about when we come back in January. Has anyone got the date of our first show? I should look that up really before we started.
Our date of our first show is the 8th.
8th of January. Nice. We've got a few weeks to play some games and chill out and hopefully enjoy ourselves.
And hopefully you're not dead by that point.
Well, yeah, I feel like I'm slowly.
He is old.
I'm slowly descending.
Slipping away.
I need my Horlicks quickly. So let's get into the final Big Daddy Game of the Year #1 position for everybody in the podcast. Who would like to go first? Ross,
I'll make it easy because I've got the
Can we
trailer up
guess?
and it's already been mentioned.
Ross, tell me.
Oh, have you mentioned
#1 Game of the Year?
No, I won't say FIFA, you're right.
Scottish Rough Ross Game of the Year #1 is.
So my Game of the Year, which might be.
Are we going to guess or not?
You can guess if you want, yeah.
We guess.
It's been mentioned. Oh no, you mentioned
Stanley Parable.
The answer to the question is.
Ooh, tense. Waiting for
It's
something
got to be
to play.
Stanley Parable, surely.
Waiting for something to
I
play.
don't know why it's not Sharon. I can't guess it.
It's Ian.
There we go. It is
Stanley
Parable.
Stanley Parable.
That game was fucking like, as much as I'm saying High on Life's hilarious, this is a totally different style of comedy, but it is every bit just infuriating, mind-boggling, hysterical, soul-destroying at times. You go through, I think, every single emotion that you can possibly go through in this game. Jay said it perfectly. Like, it was brilliant, but at the same time, I could have lost controllers over this game.
It's just like you said, like you get to a point and you think this must be the end now, and then it goes, well, why don't you carry on and see what happens?
And it's the same, like, because I know you spoke about it before, like we had even played the game, like the cupboard, like when you walk into the broom cupboard and like it's just a broom cupboard, so it's why would you have to worry about it? But then it turns into the guy making you feel utterly ridiculous for being in this broom cupboard, and then you take stuff from the it's just and then the whole part where like the narrator slowly drifting off into madness when you get stuck in a certain room, or the other part with the Steam reviews.
The Steam reviews was good. Yeah, I enjoyed that part.
Just fucking I could not believe, like, because obviously you had hyped it up as like the best thing since sliced bread, and then they say that this Ultra Edition was coming out, and I thought, right, this is it. We're going for it, and we're seeing what it's like. Wow, it was just fantastic.
It's just something that you can just sit and enjoy for a couple of hours and not see anything twice. If you obviously you don't do the same thing twice, and
yeah. You say you enjoy it though. Do you really enjoy it?
I think it's fucking brilliant. It's like a descent, like you said, a descent into madness.
Yeah, like it's hilarious, and then you find yourself like, has something changed? Fuck, I don't know if something's changed. Now you're going to need to go through every single room that I've already been through 3 times to see if something's changed because I might have done something slightly different this time. And then you get to the end part and you realize nothing's changed, and you're like, fuck.
And then when you get to the start again, and it goes, head through this door for the new content, and you head through that door, and it's like, what? Hang on. And he goes, it gives you new content. You get back there, he goes, well, you've been through this door already, but there might be some more new content. Carry on. It's like, what? Yeah. Oh, what
jump. You're allowed to jump once.
Yeah. But no, I can't believe just how often I spent like pissing myself laughing at this game. And as you say, it's like, it might not be like the most graphically fantastic game, or it might not be story deep, and it might not have like amazing characters, but as Ian was saying, it's like, what game have you played this year that has like brought out the most in you? And this is, by far and away.
Fun choice.
Yeah, it's incredibly clever and intelligent and maddening at the same time.
Yeah,
nice.
It's one of those ones where it's just got so much like replayability, but random. Like, just every time is always different and different random. Even the different days. I remember once, like, they told me to put the time in the beginning, and like, oh, you put the right time in.
Yeah, the guy's like shocked, like, oh
and then you do it again the second time, like, oh, you did it again. Like, referencing the first time you did it right, the second time you did it right as well. I thought you would just skip this time for the second time you did it.
But that's ties back to what I was saying to EG about High on Life, like how it references back to the player, and that's why I think you enjoy that sort of style of it as well, because it's got the same comedy elements like that.
Yes. Well, we'll see how it compares to the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe Edition. Stanley. What a game. What a game. So, yes, number 1 for us is Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe Edition. Thank you very much. Ian, what about yourself? Number 1 for you.
Well, have a guess. It means
obvious, yes, we've got a guess, and we. Well, since we're going multi-format, I'm going to say the other Pokemon. What is it? Scarlet and Violet, is it?
No, that's not going to be his number 1.
No, I wouldn't put it past him.
Wouldn't put it past me. I mean, who knows with me? But
who knows? Please reveal all.
You're probably all kicking yourselves because wrong button. It is, of course, Pokemon.
Wow.
I mean, can't fault it, can you? I fucking love this franchise.
Well, I can fault it because
it's one of those ones where at first I was really worried. No, I think it's one of the things where I was worried at first because there was all this kind of negativity online. People were moaning about the kind of glitches, but for me, I was quite lucky. I only had maybe saw one glitch where, the Pokeball stayed in the air rather than dropping down. But the whole storyline was brilliant. I think they nailed it with 3 different storylines. And I think it was fun. It was kind of not back to basics, but actually made it harder sometimes. If you play with kind of just set rules, do where you want. I remember once I went to a gym. I thought, oh, this will be fine. There was like 10 levels above me. I was like, what the fuck? How am I going to do that? And I was wiped out straight away. They actually nailed fun storylines. The only thing that... Go on.
I was going to say, the thing I quite like
the only thing they could have missed, which...
I think we're getting a bit of lag here, aren't we? You carry on, Ian.
Okay.
Am I breaking up?
A little bit.
I'd say maybe the trailer's messing things up. But yeah, I was saying what I liked about it. I wasn't saying that. Ross, you go.
All I was going to say is I quite like for the fact that it's not linear like every other Pokemon game. So you don't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 gyms. You can go wherever you want to go. But like you say, that has its own risks in regards to the levels and things like that as well. Same with one of the other features that they've brought into it. Like there's nothing's tying you to do everything in order. You can go different places, and I quite like how that's a step away from the norm.
Yes, that's what I mean. Yeah, and that's what I liked about it was because obviously I went to a few areas before. I was like, oh, I can go here now. I went there and obviously, I say Pokemon were 10 levels above me. The gym was just completely destroyed me. I was like, oh, I better go back and do something different, like, you know, or go back and not level up, but like you go somewhere else and come back to that at a later date. But yeah, I think it was just a whole solid, fun storyline. It was, you know, they improved it upon where before, you know, it was quite easy, especially Sword and Shield, very easy. Like you could easily feel that maybe just 1 or 2 Pokemon, whereas this one you've got to focus on kind of like a spread. Some of the newer Pokemon are quite fun. Some of them are very broken, which is always good fun to see. It makes a whole new meta game in the kind of the competitive scene massively different, a massive change. And I do follow the competitive scene, so for me to see that as well, that's quite different fun. The raid battles are quite difficult, whereas before they were quite simple and easy. These ones are a little bit more tough. You actually have to do some proper training on Pokemon if you want to kind of actually survive the raids and stuff, especially on solo. If you do solo, it can be really difficult, but if you go online and go for 3 other randoms, it kind of makes it a bit more easier, and hopefully the random people have decent Pokemon as well, which does help quite a lot. And I'm seeing quite a few people when I go in the random raids, they actually are using decent Pokemon. So again, if you play like a sportive Pokemon, you can actually destroy each raid without any issues.
That's what
you say. Oh, sorry, go on, Russell.
I was going to say that's the one thing that annoyed me with Sword and Shield, because by the time they brought out the Crown Tundra DLC, which had like the max raid area, a lot of people had fell off it. So if you wanted to try and jump in with a group to play the max raids, which they're maybe not as hard as these new ones, but you still sort of, by the time you get to the main boss, you really need to have the right squad to go up against like the one that you're fighting. A lot of people had dropped off by then, so trying to group up was really difficult. Whereas I've seen a lot more this time, obviously because it's new, you're getting a lot more success in regards to like your what is it, Terra
raids? Yeah. That's the new mechanic of this year's Terra battles. So you can change the type of your Pokemon to whatever type you want, and so again that makes it very different in the competitive scene as well. Because so Jay, what are you going to say?
Would this be a good one for someone who's never played it to get into? Because I think the oldest one at least, might like this sort of thing, but I've never played Pokemon, so I wouldn't really know where to start with it.
I mean, all of them are pick up and play easy. I think this one does help with if you're new to the fifth series, because again, you can go wherever you want. It's kind of not simple enough to catch Pokemon, but they don't make it difficult. So I think any of the Pokemon entries are very easy. I mean, if you want something very easy, you start with Sword and Shield, because that's so easy. But again, so they did make it that Scarlet and Violet a little bit more harder, because of the fact that it's more open world and you can explore wherever you want. But there's like a set path you can do to make your life a lot more easier. But I did find that fact I can go anywhere, and I made very bad mistakes of going to locations where I shouldn't be a lot of the time. Like sometimes I got to a place where I was like, yeah, you shouldn't be here, but we're going to punish you anyway. I'm like, okay, off I go. I better go back out somewhere else. I know I'm not needed. I'll see you in a few levels. And then you always come back and do it. But yeah, I think I'm still playing it now. I'm still trying to complete the Pokédex. Again, what happened there? So yeah, I'm still trying to complete the Pokédex. Still having fun with it. Again, it's one of the ones where you say, what's the most hours I put into a game this year? Other than World of Warcraft, which I can't really mention as a game because it's been out years ago.
For about 50,000 years
ago. It has to be Pokemon.
Nice. So Pokemon Scarlet / Violet / Wonderful. Goodness.
Pokemon Scarlet. Don't count Violet.
Okay. Cool.
You can count Violet, but I got a Scarlet. Yeah, Scarlet. Yeah.
Scarlet.
Fucking boy's got one on his legs, not on his fucking wheels.
I went for Violet because I wanted the future Pokemon.
Yeah, no. Well, I might have stood them off you when.
You can trade and team up on that. Graham, I'm going to jump in quickly, if that's all right, and then you can go last, because I'm sure your pick will be better than mine.
Right. Well, mine's a recently new addition. To be honest, might be because I'm playing it now, but I've kind of fallen in love with it a little bit, and that's the Marvel's Midnight Suns.
Oh, I would never have guessed that.
Oh, that's really new.
Yeah. It's just I've been just burying hours into it over the last sort of couple of weeks. It's just it's kind of hard, really quite hard to start off with. If the sort of that's mentioned that the combat is like a combination of XCOM in the style of it's like it's turn based and like either any pick your card game like Magic the Gathering or Hearthstone or basically anything that involves kind of card based kind of attacks. And you have to have a bit of luck of the draw of what cards come out of the kind of decks. But I just love the way it separates itself from the whole movie side of things. Like the character models don't look like any of the kind of actors as such. And the voice acting is really on point of all of them. They're all kind of unique and they sort of stick truer to their kind of comic book styles of their characters rather than kind of the movie-based varieties of them.
Oh, okay.
And all the sort of the cutscenes in there are sort of really kind of gripping. You're kind of into the story. You feel for each of the characters, and it's not like you just stick to your favorites and you kind of force the players, kind of all of them, to kind of experience all their kind of different powers and their cards, and they're all significantly different and sort of unique to each of their own characters. And I think there's like 13 characters all in all what you unlock, but you start off with like 9 or 10 of them straight away. You get a few extra as you come along, obviously with a bigger one being sort of Captain America and Wolverine, as you kind of see on the covers and stuff. But the Wolverine sort of character was the one that kind of impressed me the most, as he kind of gave me the feels. I don't know if you watched like the 90s X-Men cartoon, but the Wolverine in that was pretty sort of charismatic in the way that he was kind of a bit of a loner, but he was just so tough and just relentless. And in this one, it kind of made you feel like it's that guy, but he's a bit more chilled and mellow. But it's got the hair, the suit, and everything of just how he kind of looked in that kind of series. And it was just, he's really kind of good, and just all their moves just look kind of really good. The whole point of the kind of the game, you play as your own kind of semi-custom character called the Hunter, which that's his actual name, which is kind of one of the jokes of the thing in there. He's asking what he was called when he was born, and he's called the Hunter. That's his actual name.
Oh, okay.
It's so weird, but everyone calls him like the Hunter, or basically you can either make it him or a her, and you customize how they kind of look and everything. And he's kind of injected into the story quite nicely. It all kind of sort of builds around him being sort of a fallen hero that's been resurrected, and it's just kind of great. It's sort of in between you doing missions, etc. You kind of talk to all the different characters, interact with them, build relationships with them, spar with them, and you can basically just pick up more cards, do different upgrades, and it's just one of those kind of mix and match of RPG, mixed strategy, and quite a couple of different genres blended together, and it's just highly addictive. And if you're a fan of the kind of Marvel series like I kind of am as well, especially like the old comic books kind of styles, this is sort of super interesting because it's very detached from the movies. It's kind of its own thing, and that's, I think, what makes it better. So that's why.
The only thing that's killing me on this one is because of the style of game it is.
Yeah.
So very XCOM, am I right in saying?
Yeah. So it is definitely sort of the way it's laid out. Yeah.
And that's the only, because visually and being Marvel, it's like right up my street. Same way, like what you're saying is the characters are not their movie equivalents. So if people have got more of a history and like reading the comics, watching maybe like the animated series, like you're saying about Wolverine and stuff like that, I really want to play it, but at the same time, I'm not a big XCOM fan, or I'm not good at XCOM style games.
That's what I mean. You could knock it down to kind of story mode, so it's not as challenging.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it super easy. There is still a little bit of a challenge there.
Yeah.
So you can still sort of play around. You don't have to be sort of immense at sort of XCOM to get it. But first off, the game is kind of tough because you have to get used to all the different sort of elements that you can use to your advantage.
Mm.
because there's a lot of sort of obstacles on the area that you can use to hit enemies with, or you can bounce off to hit enemies with, or you can bump enemies into things or into your buddies to do extra damage, and basically just using everything to your advantage. You kind of, it's quite hard to learn that at first. Once you've got that kind of, your rhythm sort of picks up better, and then you know the cards to select and upgrade to sort of really make it much more fun and enjoyable. Yeah.
So one wee thing about this, just because it's something that they might be able to do, but I don't know all the characters. Do you get like, especially, do you get like squad bonuses? So like I'm trying to think. So like, did you ever play?
Yeah, I know what you mean. The Ultimate
Alliance. Yeah. So like, if you put the Fantastic Four in, you got like a boost, or if you played like the Young Avengers type idea.
No, because they kind of separated it, and it's part of the storyline in there. So you have the original Midnight Suns, which is like Blade, Magic, and Nico, and the Robbie Reyes version of the Ghost Rider, and then you've got the Avengers, which is like Doctor Strange and Iron Man, and their side of it, and Captain America when he comes along, and then even separately on his own, sort of Wolverine as the X-Men. But they're their own kind of factions, and that's part of the disputes in there. But you don't get bonuses for it. You only get a choice of 3 characters per mission. You can do sort of side missions, but the side missions usually focus on one character, and then you pick the other 2 to go along with them.
Right.
Sometimes if you build the friendship up, that you can have a combo move which does like a massive amount of damage, and it just combines 2 different characters that do like a super special move on a character, which is, it's all right visually. It gets a bit samey after a while on that bit, but it's just, that's part of the attack. It's not part of the story or anything. It's just a cool move that this looks all right. But yeah, those are the only kind of bonuses you get. But it's the characters you use are the characters you get extra sort of side story bits with, and you get more cards of the people that you actually use. So you have to kind of mix it up. Otherwise, when you do have to use one of the other characters, you're going to leave them behind a little bit, and their cards won't be updating or anything, and it'll just become that bit more challenging. So it's better to mix things up, and it's more fun to actually mix things up so you can see all the different kind of styles, because they're all vastly different.
Nice.
Lovely. So yeah, so Marvel's Midnight Suns, is it, there's no sort of co-op or anything in that one, is there?
No.
Solo player.
It is.
Nice. So quick recap then. So you got Marvel's Midnight Suns for Graham. Ian was Pokemon Scarlet, was it?
Yes. Pokemon Magenta.
Count both.
And Ross was Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe Edition. However, as like last year, the only true answer for Game of the Year is Lake. No.
I know. I think I know yours.
Yeah, I thought.
Anyone want to have a quick guess before we dive in?
Ross, do you want to go first?
I wanted to say Vampire Survivors.
I want to say, because you wouldn't shut up about it, Tinykin.
Oh, that
I haven't heard it yet.
There wasn't any other Resident Evil thing. There was like a DLC in there.
Yeah.
If you pick Shadow of Rose DLC, I'm walking out of this podcast now.
Yeah, that's just done.
I'm off. I'm literally going, that's it. I'm walking off screen.
I mean, Shadow of Rose was good, but yeah, it's a DLC at the end of the day. I can't really count that. However, Mealy Man Ian, spot on. Tinykin, what a fantastic game. Everybody knows my affinity for Pikmin games, and I got an early opportunity to play the demo for this, and I installed it, and I never actually played it. And I was like, I don't know, I don't really know what it's about. And then someone mentioned it was something like Pikmin. Instantly, my ears sort of pricked up, and then I got the chance to review the full game, and I fucking loved it from start to finish. Much like all the games I mentioned so far, it was just like pure joy condensed on a screen. Like, it wasn't the hardest game in the world. I think in my review, the only negative I really gave it was that there was no challenge. There's no combat like in Pikmin. There's no real sort of survival element. It's just a case of exploring the rooms and going from point A to point B. And it's not really that difficult. Like, it's pretty obvious where you got to go or what you need to get there. But what I enjoyed about it was exploring the rooms fully. So although the main objective might be to get onto the countertop, for example, to get sugar cubes or something to power a machine or something, along the way there'd be 10 ton of hidden objectives or little Easter eggs or little side things to find, which were just filled with joy, and I fucking loved it. It was funny, it was charming, it looked lovely, it played lovely. The Tinykin themselves, unlike Pikmin, they only had one task or one purpose each, I should say. So the red ones blew up, but you couldn't then use red ones to help carry something. So they only had their one job, and that was their one job only. But it was all about going around the room and finding enough supplies to get to the next bit, and then get more to get to the next bit. And it was just. I mean, watching the trailer now, I just filled with joy and wonder. If I hadn't, I mean, obviously I didn't 1000G it, or I didn't fully complete it, but I pretty much rinsed every room for all of the objectives and for all of the collectibles possible, bar. I think each room had something like 500-600 honeycomb things to pick up, pollen bit things to pick up. Sorry, and I've only missed like 3 or 4 in each room. I properly explored everywhere, and I just enjoyed it from start to finish. And much like many of the other games mentioned this evening, I'd love to see some sort of DLC or a sequel or something where they expand it out, so it's not just in one house. Perhaps they could have it in an entire neighborhood or in an outside area or something like that. But yeah, I love this from start to finish, and even though I rated the last 2 games 0.2 points higher on our review scale, it's the game that I keep coming back to and thinking about every time someone says, "What's the best game you played this year?" Tinykin.
And it's not all about score; it's about what you have fun with.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. I mean, again, Stanley Parable, as that's full, brilliant. But it's like with Lake last year, it wasn't the highest score by far that I gave last year, but it's just that game that keeps coming back to me every time I think about what did I really, really enjoy this year. Yes. So yeah, Tinykin was. I wish I felt better and I could waffle on for another 15 minutes about it. But yeah, really, really good game, and I believe it's still on Game Pass as well. So
it is on Game Pass.
Even remotely curious, what have you got to lose? Just download it, give it a try. I think it's probably only about 10 hours at most if you do everything like I did. Yeah, really, really enjoyed that game. Wonderful little experience. Highly recommended. For number 1, cool. So we had some pretty cracking games there from everybody. A few surprises, a few home runs, and a few poor choices from one other team. I won't mention who. I'll let you all figure out for yourself. Has anybody else got any other games they'd like to sort of give a quick shout out before we wrap things up?
Just the ones that I think that we had in the Discord for a couple of different folk. So what do we have?
Thank you. Sorry, I completely forgot about that. Yes, carry on, Ross.
That's fine. You're ill. It's fine. We'll let you away with it. JD Incinerator, he says, please give some love to the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. So I'm sure he'll be happy with what he's heard there.
I think we achieved that somehow, yeah.
French special guest Pete has Rise of the Third Power, which I'm not too sure what that one is. And
that was
F1 Manager.
One of the reviews he did for us. He picked it up randomly and ended up fucking loving it.
I'm not in any way, shape, or form shocked to see the F1 Manager game on Pete's list.
Yeah. Yes.
Like I say, I think when that came up in the quiz last week, it was like, yeah, that's going to be super high on his list. Ken Doyle 659 has Vampire Survivors, so another game that's featured on our list. Seems to be a good consensus here. And Sir Moxlot's also been saying he's played Vampire Survivors for the last 5 days and is currently playing it at the present moment, according to his Discord. So it seems like he's been bit by the vampire bug on that one. And that's the ones that we've had in here. I had hoped that Daniel, the guy that was also part of the podcast, would have bothered his arse and tell us what his game of the year was. But who would have thought
he doesn't play many games anyway, does he?
Yeah, exactly.
We also have Jake, who mentioned Elden Ring.
Did Jake say Elden Ring? Did I miss that?
You mentioned it to me in private chat. And Ross won't mention anything. He's just playing Fallout 76 all the fucking time. So we'll say Fallout 76 for him, even though it's probably not this year.
Yeah.
That's what he fucking plays.
What was I about to say, Jacinth? I've lost my train of thought now. What did you say before, Jake?
Elden Ring, Jake?
Elden Ring. I don't know. It's completely gone.
Daniel.
Did he finish?
Did you forget about Dan?
No, you challenged him at the beginning of the year to finish an amount of titles this year. Did he?
I think it was 30 games.
He's into the 30s because he.
Yeah, I think he did it. But
He has got up in the 30s to complete games. In fairness, I take the piss at him. He's completed more games this year than I have.
probably more than me as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
Actually, looking at my
That's
list
how
here, because
fucking
like I
working
said
life.
last week, I do keep a track of this. And according to this, I'm sure I've missed one or two, but I've completed 38 games this year, which is 10 down from last year, but they've also been quite a lot longer, I think. So
Yeah. I mean, I think Dan's stat padded a wee bit and had a few Ratalika games in there as well. So, like, I think he's trying to come across as quite impressive with his stats, but it's like, no, Dan, no.
It's just because of me. I burn out because the first 4 months, 5 months in the year, I was in that competition, and then after that, I was like, nope, not gaming much anymore. Fuck you, I'm just doing nothing. That's what just killed me off this year.
Done.
Yeah, well, we're so that's the year in Xbox Tavern, I suppose. I mean, there's been
We'll have an article probably towards the end of
dozens.
the year.
Yeah, there will be an article. I plan on getting one or two more up before we properly break for Christmas, but otherwise it'll be quiet until the new year. We've got a Game of the Year 1 coming up. We've got a few more reviews and we'll get ready. But thank you very much for listening for the last year, or hopefully more if you've been with us for the long haul. We'll be back on the 8th of January, did you say, Ian?
Correct. Sunday the 8th.
So the 8th for episode 102nd. We will chat what we're playing over the Christmas break and probably some news, and I'm sure a lot of bullshit as well. So if you want to keep up with us, if you want to keep up with us in the meantime, you can follow myself on the Twitters at ENX10. You can follow Scottish Gruff Ross at
Scottish Gruff.
Ian
At Nutty Ray.
Graham.
Graham Reaper.
Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this year of wonderful podcasts and reviews and stuff, and we'll be back in the new year. Have a wonderful holiday, Christmas and New Year.
Hopefully we're back with dubstep.
Bring
back the dubstep. Bring back the
dubstep. Right. Goodbye, everybody. Speak to you all in the new year.
See you later.
See ya.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba, ba-da-ba-ba.